The Golden State Warriors, a force to be reckoned with since trading for Jimmy Butler, and their title odds are rising fast. I'm Trevor Lane. This is the Basketball Bulletin. Is Golden State actually for real? Are they a true title contender now? Joining me is Donnie Freeman. Donnie, it's been a remarkable rise. I know there's been a lot of focus on Luka, on the Lakers, and what they've been doing, but Golden State has been really making some noise over the last 10, 11 games or so.
Yeah, it's been absolutely impressive ever since the Jimmy Butler trade. They seem like they've been reinvigorated. They've got a new lease on life, and they are just coming with a vengeance here. So, really cool to see from another elder statesman and his team in the NBA.
So here's the Warriors since the Jimmy Butler trade. Offensive rating, you see them sitting there at fifth. Then we go take a peek at their defensive rating. Oh, my, second in the NBA in defensive rating over that span. And what does that result in? A net rating for the Warriors of third best in the NBA. Donnie, I think that what the Jimmy Butler trade has allowed the Warriors to do is to it's to neutralize those non-Steph minutes to where they're not just getting torched when Steph Curry's off the floor. And if they're able to do that, that allows them to hang in games and even win games. We saw it last night against the Knicks as well. It's taken them to another level, having another offensive threat in Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, absolutely. All of a sudden, defenses have another guy they need to be concerned about, they need to focus on, as opposed to mainly just Steph out there. And then, like you were saying, whenever they're staggering these guys and putting them out there separately, now they still have to be on their toes because Jimmy Butler can attack them in so many ways. So it's really nice to see that the Warriors finally have that, because when they were losing those non-Steph minutes, they would typically wind up just losing the game. So very good for them.
Yeah, this has been a incredible stretch from them. Now, if we go take a look right now over at our friends at BetUS, the Warriors, their title odds are rising. Look at this now. You've got the Warriors plus 1,400 to win the whole thing right now. The Celtics are leading the way with the best odds at plus 190. You've got the Thunder at plus 200. The Cleveland Cavaliers still, I think, getting disrespected a little bit. They're at plus 600 down at the bottom. But the Golden State Warriors now up there. The Lakers plus 1,100. The Warriors now tied with the Denver Nuggets. Both teams at plus 1,400. I think that is really reflective of how good they've been. By the way, if anybody wants to get in on it, you guys can check out BetUS. You use the promo code YouTube150, get 150% sign-up bonus on your first three deposits up to $2,000. But remarkable how quickly they've moved up in the odds here over on BetUS. And now the Warriors sit there tied with the Denver Nuggets in odds to win the title. Do you agree? I mean, you look at the standings. Here's the Warriors. They have risen all the way to sixth in the West. I guess it doesn't matter, though, where you are in the standings. What matters is how you're playing in the playoffs. Can you peak at the right time? Do you buy that the Golden State Warriors have just as good of a shot to win the NBA championship as the Denver Nuggets?
I think Denver is still just a little bit better, but I would say I think that could go either way if they were to match up. So I think it's fair to say, for the most part, I think it's pretty close. But I think some of that is also just the way that they played recently, and some of that's just the expectation having guys like Steph and Jimmy. But also, I don't want to underrate the Denver Nuggets either, right? So Denver, I think, probably just a little bit better chance, in my opinion.
Yeah, I still think it's hard to discount too much of what Jokic can do for them. I don't think they're the Denver Nuggets of old, but I still would slot them a little bit ahead of Golden State. But this Warriors team. There is new life here. You look at over 10 games, Jimmy Butler, what he's done, 16 points, 5 boards, 5.3 assists. It's really the versatility that I think has been such a big benefit for the Golden State Warriors, just his ability to play in so many different facets of the game. And you look, there's actually a lot of upside here. Jimmy is not a great three-point shooter over the course of his career, but he's not 10% from three. We know that too. So I would imagine this number, despite the low volume, it's not going to change a ton here, but he's not going to shoot 10% from three forever. So I do think the 16 points, that's probably really going to settle in somewhere around, 18 points or something like that once his three-point percentage normalizes.
Yeah, he's also had a few clunkers that will bring this number down a little bit. He had a couple really bad games, but still, just the fact he was out there, the threat, getting to the free throw line is still better than they had. And then again, even if he's not having the best shooting night, not making those threes, I mean, he's only taking 10 shots per game at this point, 11 shots per game. He's still a threat because he can do so many different things. He's a really good Swiss Army knife, and he is something that they haven't had in quite a while, that archetype of player. So I think he slots in perfectly. And again, above all else, just the fact that he's Jimmy Butler, teams have to be concerned about him. And yeah, I don't think he's a 10% three-point shooter. I think we've got a pretty long history there with him to say otherwise. So I do think that'll normalize, and the offense will come up a bit. But truly with him, I think it's more about, getting him to the playoffs healthy and seeing what he can do at that point, and going from there, because he hasn't played all that much this year in the first place. So I wonder if he's still pretty fresh anyway, because he only played 25 games with Miami, 10 games so far with Golden State. So I'm curious about that.
Well, in those 10 games, Jimmy Butler on the floor right now, we take a look at cleaning the glass. Jimmy Butler on the floor in the 10 games that he's played, that's 623 possessions, which is, it's not nothing. That's not a big sample size, but it's not nothing. Plus 13 with Jimmy Butler on the floor. And you look at the defense, what they've managed to do there. That main group, look at that, plus 21 with Curry, Pajemski, Moody, Butler, and Green. Remember, no Kuminga right now, so you can add him to the mix eventually. But this group, it's not just Steph's offense. Look at points per possession. They're in the 44th percentile. It's the defense that's getting it done. Are you surprised that group is so good defensively?
No, not exactly. I like the profile that they have there with the guys. Like they've kind of got like a 6'5" to 6'7" core of guys around that are just workhorses on the other side. So I kind of like that. And it's not terribly surprising. I think they're doing a great job with them and schematically kind of keeping up for Steph. And by the way, on Steph, I think he's a better defender than he gets credit for being anyway. I think he's gotten far better on that end of the court than he was earlier in his career. So not terribly surprised with that. And that's where the Warriors have also made their bones anyway in the years that they were really good.
Yeah, they were a really good defensive team, and that's what they appear to be once again. Now, looking at the West, do you buy that this is real, the Warriors?
Okay, so I've been wanting to get this off for a little bit because I already know the instant retort when people click this video is they've played nobody. So can you show who they've recently played? And to answer your question, yeah, a team with Steph and Jimmy Butler, I think, is for real. Like, I don't think either of those guys is over the hill or anything like that. Of course not. So I do think if you get them in a series, that's going to be a tough out. That series is going to be hell. So,
and I agree with you. Now, to people who are saying, well, they haven't played anybody. Well, all right. Have there been some very winnable games mixed in? Yeah, Chicago, right? You got a game against Chicago in there. You get Charlotte. Orlando has been terrible lately. Their offense has fallen to pieces. Philly, they actually lost to Philly. Charlotte again. But then you look, there's other games. Milwaukee is a quality opponent. And they not only beat them, they
I don't know
crushed.
that Giannis was in that game, was he?
Maybe he wasn't. But still, sure. I mean, this is, it is.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I don't think he was playing.
You're right. No Giannis in that game. But still, the Bucks are a quality team, right? That's a quality organization. You lost to the Mavs. Okay, that's tough. But you beat Houston. You beat Sacramento. You beat Dallas. This time blew them out. Of course, Dallas has had their injury issues, but still. You beat New York last night. This is a good Knicks team. Orlando, their offense is falling to pieces, but you beat the Knicks. It was without Towns. That's worth noting, of course. No Karl Anthony Towns, but they do have Mitchell Robinson back, and Robinson can only play 15 minutes. This is still a good Knicks team, and you managed to beat them. So has it been the most difficult stretch ever? No, but I'll also say it's not like they're just beating nobody here. They're not playing every game against the Wizards or something like that.
No, yeah. They're playing against some middle of the pack guys, and that's perfectly fine. You have to play who's in front of you. And speaking of who's in front of them, if you could pull up the Tankathon, the Warriors have the benefit of having already gotten a lot of their toughest matchups out of the way this season, which you could argue maybe also brought their record down in aggregate earlier in the season. So now they're in a position where they've got a middle of the road strength of schedule. So they're going to be able to get a lot of wins towards the second half of the season here, the last 20, 25 games, whatever they have left.
Yeah, that's just it. Like, yeah, they're beating middle of the road teams, but guess who they're playing the rest of the way? Mostly middle of the road teams, right? You've got a rematch with the Knicks. You've got a couple of games against Denver. Those could loom large. You have a game against Memphis, a game against the Rockets, but you also have 2 games against the Spurs, 2 against the Blazers. Like, you've got some easier opportunities
Blazers is
there.
a trap game the way they're playing. Shout
Well,
out to
that's true.
the game winner the other day, right?
That's true. The way that the Blazers have been playing, maybe they are not quite as easy of an out as they were earlier on in the season. But still, this is overall, I think, a pretty light schedule for the Warriors. So I guess it comes to this. I buy that the Warriors are for real. I think if I were to rank not based on the standings right now, but ranked based like a power ranking, which team would I want to avoid the most in the postseason? I would go OKC. I could put the Lakers or the Nuggets in whatever order, and the Warriors right behind them. I would slot the Warriors ahead of the Grizzlies. I'd slot the Warriors ahead of the Rockets, ahead of everybody else in the Western Conference. Do you agree with that? Have the
Yeah.
Warriors as the fourth most dangerous team right now in the West?
Yeah, well, the thing is with all these guys, all the teams you listed off, I mean, I think it's pretty scary because who knows if Steph's not going to go off for a random 40-point heater on
Sure.
you, and Jimmy's just not going to kill you, playoff Jimmy again. Like, so that's where I think it's like it can be kind of a trap, and I think that some of these teams you could just flip them in any order. But for the most part, I agree with you. But that's why I do have confidence in them, and I think they're for real because their ceiling should only elevate from here.
Yeah. Do you think they can? It's a 5-game gap. Well, no, sorry, it's a 3-game gap. Can they catch the Houston Rockets?
I mean, if Houston keeps free falling like they've been doing the last like 15 or so games, sure.
They've lost their last 3.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why not, right? Go back to the Tankathon? Who's got a harder schedule at this point too?
Right
and also
now,
we need to know if they'd have tiebreakers also.
yeah, it's right now Houston has the easier schedule between the two by a decent amount.
Okay. So maybe Houston is in a similar spot, like I was saying. They kind of have a few more losses, but they're going to start picking up a number of wins. So I guess that'll matter. Maybe Memphis falls. I'm not really sure, but all that stuff 2 through 8 probably is just going to be jumbled consistently.
So by the way, Golden State does have the tiebreaker over the Rockets.
Okay. Well,
so that
we're at a point where that stuff's starting to matter.
It is starting to matter. So that's like an extra game in hand there.
Yeah.
For the Warriors. All they have to do is tie the Rockets and they will get that spot. So if they can make up a 3-game gap over the remaining 20-ish games that they've got left, maybe they could rise as high as 5. I think personally, Donnie, I think they stick at 6 though. I don't think the Wolves have a very easy schedule. I don't think the Wolves catch the Warriors. The Warriors are playing too well. I think the Warriors stick at 6 seed most likely, but I wouldn't count them out against rising to 5th. And again, I think right now I would rank them 4th in power rankings in the Western Conference. And you can make an argument they should be right there with the Lakers and the Nuggets because of how well they've been playing lately.
I mean, when you look at the rest of the board, there's a lot of teams like Sacramento or Minnesota that are kind of like, up and down. And yeah, they're in a similar area, but one of the hottest teams out here is the Golden State Warriors, and they've got Steph and Jimmy. So like, I'd bank on that personally first. So I do agree with you. They're a top 4 probably team in terms of like power rankings, but that doesn't mean they can't beat any of the teams ahead of them. Who knows what could happen when you get into a series against
playoff
these guys,
Jimmy,
right? Yeah, absolutely. Like we talk about playoff Jimmy so much. I'm really curious what it looks like in Golden State at this point too. I want to see what that looks like. But yeah, Jimmy historically has been great there, so I do have to put respect on that. We almost talk about it like he's a myth, though. I will say, like
playoff Rondo.
Yeah, like we talk about it so much, but yeah. So I think that they're going to be really good. I think they're legit, and they're going to have opportunity to get some wins here. They said that they were targeting at least the 6th seed. They've been able to get there because of the Clippers imploding, and they'll probably try their hardest to hang on to it and maybe even rise. Realistically, they could rise at least up to 4. Because 3 and 4 aren't separated by nothing either. So
I'll tell you what. Bottom line, are the Warriors contenders? I don't know. I think they'll run out of runway in order to actually rise that far. But you look at if you buy what they've done since the arrival of Jimmy Butler, they're a top 5 offense. They're a top 5 defense. If you're top 5, if that is real, if you're top 5 in both categories, you are a contender. Plain and simple. You are a contender. Really, if you're top 10 in both categories, you could argue that you're a contender. But if you're top 5, if that is real, then they are a legitimate contender. I still need to see more, but I tend to lean towards, this is real from Golden State, and they're going to be a problem. come playoff time. Everybody, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Are the Golden State Warriors, the new look Warriors with Jimmy Butler, is this real or is this just a mirage? Will they actually struggle come playoff time? Give us your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to go check out our latest video on Anthony Davis and was he traded as punishment for complaining? Go check that one out right now.